Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Julie. We're going to be continuing working on our gnome, our February gnome. It's the violet one. If you'll remember from last week, I got most of the body done here. Next step is to stuff it and do the actual bottom so it can stand up. And then we put on more of the features of the face and I believe little feet, little arms, that type of thing. So hopefully that's what I'm going to get to this week. So I guess we'll get after it. Okay, so see where it says to do the bottom? It says with limestone. And according to the book, there is no limestone listed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the cream color because that's what color the face is. And the body will be that color. And I mean, it's down on the bottom there, you know, underneath it here. So you're not even going to see it anyway. So I'm just going to continue using my cream color, which is in the book, it's listed Acru. So that's what I'm going to get working on next. Okay, so for the bottom, which I have written down Acru instead of limestone, we pull up a loop in the back loop of any stitch in round 20, which is where we have this ridge here. So basically, I'm just gonna stick it in here, one of these, pull up a loop. Okay. And then round 21 says in the back loop single crochets we do for the next 8 stitches. So I'm going to try to catch my yarn here. Oops, and I lost that. Not holding it apparently tight enough. Okay. Now I made a single crochet. Okay, so I have to do 8. 1, 2. Sorry, my fingers are cold, so they're not quite working right. It was 3, 4. 5, 6, and this is where it jumps down a little bit. Let's see if I can find the loop. There it is right there. I don't know if you can see that. See how my ridge is? And this is the first one. It's on that next. Remember when I said when you work in rounds like that, they don't exactly line up perfectly? So sometimes you have to actually go looking for your stitches here. Okay, I think that might have been 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And then the next one we do a single crochet 2 together, which is SC2TOG. So basically what we do, it's very simple. We insert into our stitch, yarn over, insert into our next stitch, yarn over again. So we have 3 on the hook instead of just 2. We yarn over and pull through all 3. So basically what you're doing is you're putting 2 stitches and making 1 stitch out of it. So we're actually making the bottom a little bit smaller. Okay. And then I repeat that 5 more times all the way around. So I will have 57. And then the following 1, 2, 3, 4, following 4 rows, I do that. I'm decreasing in size until I get to round 26. And at that point is where we start stuffing the body. So I'm going to work on this bottom. I will do these next few rows and I will bring you all back then. Okay, so I made it to row 26. And right before we get to 26, it says to stuff the body. but I wanted to show you. I have a stitch marker in here holding my place, so I took my crochet hook out. But that's how tiny the hole's getting here. So at this point, we got to start stuffing. And this is a larger area, but what you still want to do is you want to grab just a little tiny bit, put it in the hole. Kind of get it as down far as you can, and just grab little tiny amounts. Stick them in there. That way you don't get any lumpy spots, or you don't get any spots that have like voids in them. Because like if I just grabbed a big huge, handful and tried to stuff it in here, it would look odd. So see, we want to keep that ball down the top as much as possible, but you just take a little bit at a time. This takes a long time, but you see a lot of progress when you stuff these things. They start looking like how they're supposed to look when they're completely finished. So I'm still stuffing up here at the hat. I don't even have the hat full yet. Just grabbing a little bit at a time. And if I grab too much, I just break it in half. Do half of it at a time. My yarn get wrapped up. But anyway, this is basically all I'm doing. So I'll continue stuffing, and then 26 is another round where we decrease it more, and 27 we decrease it, and there's only actually 2 more rows, and then we fasten it off. Okay, then we gotta thread our yarn needle, and then we basically complete the inside of the circle there, weaving the yarn in and out. So I'm gonna continue stuffing. You don't have to sit here and watch me and be bored, but I pretty much have the hat completely full now, so I'll start working on, just keep filling it up more, and I'll bring you back when I get it fastened off, and we'll find out what the next step is on the next page. Okay, so here is the bottom. When you finish that last row, you have 8 stitches left, 8 single crochets. And what you do is you weave in the yarn through the front loops only, and then you pull it tight, and it draws all those together, which it leaves kind of large spaces there, which I'm not really a big fan of, but anyway, it is completed. Let me put them up here. So this is the bottom of the robe here, and it just kind of sits out like that. But anyway, you can just barely see his face. But that's what I have done so far, and so I will flip the page and see what it is next. I think it's either arms or the nose, but I'll check and I'll let you know. Okay, so we do arms next. We have to make 2, and they look like this. Then we have to make a nose, and it looks like that. Then we make feet. Make 2 feet. They look like this. And then over here, we have to make a beard. Okay. And then we start on flowers. But I think what I'll do is I'll get all these pieces made, the arms, the feet, the nose, and the beard. And then I will bring you back when I actually put them on his body. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. All right, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I read ahead to the directions to make sure that I understood everything and what I had to do and all that and what colors I needed to get out. Well, you actually make these body parts and you kind of just let them sit there. And then you make all the flowers and the leaf, and then at the very end you sew everything together. But I'm not going to do that. I read the directions on how you sew everything, and you actually sew them almost in order. You have to sew the beard, then the nose, and then I believe it's the feet and the arms, or the arms and the feet, one or the other. So I'm actually going to make these body parts, and then I'm going to sew them and put them on the body before I start the flowers. Because I think the flowers will be a good starting point for next week's video. So I'm going to get working on all these body parts, and I'll show you what they look like when I get them done, and we'll go from there. So I don't know if some of you have been paying close attention to my book, but I noticed that the binder was not really keeping the pages very tightly into it. And some of the pages were actually starting to either come out halfway or fully. So what I did is I put everything into a binder. My mom gave me a nice white binder. It does have something on the back, but the front is blank. And these sheet protectors. So I took all the pages out and put them in this binder. So I worked on, I've got, as you can see at the top of the table there, I have the arms done. This here's the nose, the two little feet, and the beard. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'll be going to that page where you actually sew them onto the body, and I'll show you what that is. Okay, so the last thing that I made was the beard, and that is actually the first thing that we put on. It's in this section. It's called Time to Put It All Together. And like I said, you have to make the flowers and the leaf and everything according to the instructions before you do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. So for the beard, it says center the beard between the eyes at round 5 of the head and sew it in place. So doesn't really tell you where to start, but according to the picture, it's a little bit like, I don't know, quite a bit over here. But anyway, we have to center it. So we'll find the center. So what I do is I fold it in half. With my needle that I already have threaded. So roughly this one here. So we'll turn it around this way. Okay. So I have to center it between the eyes. So let's see, we'll go in one on each side. Yeah, so right there basically. All right. Once I get it up there, I'm just going to kind of hold it in place. Make sure that's the fit. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's the 4th round. So we'll go down 1 to this one here. Okay. So where it starts, yeah, is just on the other side of my cheek here. So I'll pull that out and I'll start sewing here right at the cheek, just below it. Try to hold his head and his body down as best I can. Just start weaving it in and out. And remember, this is just how you think it looks good. So if you think it looks good, it's probably perfect. I'm going to actually lower that a little bit so I don't get it too high, because it does curve somewhat as you're holding it down, because, you know, the body's curved, the head. I'm just going to stitch it best I can. Look at it here. It looks pretty good. Actually, I'm going to curve it just slightly, because if I don't, it'll be too long on the other side then. But you just start sewing along. Okay, I'll get the rest of this on and then I'll bring you guys back. Okay, so here he is with his beard. Looks a little funny without the nose, but the nose is the next thing that we put on. So it says I have to stuff it, I center it in between here, and sew it right about in here somewhere. So I'll work on that next. Okay, so here he is with his nose. There's a side view. I guess the top view. So the rim of his hat kind of sits on his nose and it keeps it up so you can see his eyes. But I think he's turning out really cute so far. Hopefully you guys like him too. And there's the other side there. All right, the next thing we do is put his arms on, so I'll get working on that. Okay, so here he is with his arms on. Front view, side view, back view, the other side view, I guess the top, you can barely see them. And his feet are next, so I'll get his feet on and I'll show you, and that's most likely where I'm going to end the video because it is, I believe, getting longish and I don't want to bore you guys. So I'll put the feet on and show you what they look like, and that'll be it. Okay, so here he is with his feet on, his arms, his beard, his nose. There's the front view, side view, back view, which this bottom here does curl up, so I'm going to have to figure something out with that. Maybe just keep pushing it down like that. It's probably me moving it that's doing it. But there's the other side view, and then the front again. So I think he's coming out really cute. He's cute even without the flowers and the leaves and all that stuff. So, but this is where I'm going to end it. So I hope everyone has a super fabulous day. All right, bye. Thank you everyone for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, would you please hit the thumbs up, give me a like, and if you have any comments or questions, please put them in that area below. And if you'd like to, please subscribe. I know I'm not a very large channel yet, but I do plan on putting out a video every week or every other week. So thank you for your continued support. Hope everyone has a great day. Bye.